right now? We're going to talk some more about slope. We talked a little bit about it yesterday. That's what you had your homework on. Obviously, from people's freak out reaction yesterday, we need to do a little bit more with this. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at a rate of change compares two different quantities that are changing. Slope of a non-vertical line is the ratio of the vertical change, the rise, to the horizontal change, the run. Two lines are parallel. If they do not intersect, they have the same slope. Two lines are perpendicular. If they intersect to form a right angle, the slope of the perpendiculars are, we call it opposite reciprocals. Yes. Okay, so what is the opposite reciprocal of 1/4? 4/1, but it's also negative. That's what I mean by opposite reciprocals. You change the sign. Okay? So if I have one that's -2 and I want to have an opposite reciprocal slope, it's going to be 1/2, and that's it. Went from negative to positive or positive to negative. Flip that fraction. Feel good? We can do, and if they're parallel, if I have 2/3 as my slope and I want a parallel slope, it's 2/3. It's the same. Okay? All right. So we know we're talking about y equals mx plus b, and that is my slope-intercept. And we're talking about m equals the slope, b equals the y-intercept. And what does intercept mean, guys? So if you were going to describe the y-intercept, you would say, Ethan, I'm teaching over here. You would say it crosses the y-axis. Okay? And now we're going to talk about point slope form. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. We talked about a little bit about this yesterday. This is point slope. Okay? It's when you have a point and a slope. That's your point. That's your slope. Okay? That's when you don't know the y-intercept. Okay, now we're going to look at this table. All right? So, we have ages. We have 60 days, 61 days, 62, 63, 64, 65. Notice they're all going up by ones, right? Then we have height in centimeters. 210, then 212, then 214, then 216, then 218, then 220. What are these all going up by? 2. They're going up by 2 each time. Okay? How much does the sunflower grow every day? What are these in? These are centimeters, so it grows how many each day? 2 centimeters each day. Okay. Write an equation to predict future growth. All right. So 2 is the what? Would that be the y-intercept, or do you think it would be the slope?
Y-intercept.
So y-intercept is where it started. So slope is how much it increases. So this is my slope. Yeah.
Because you know, in the table it goes X, Y over on side. That's why I see Y.
Can you guys open the door for Ms. Huff? Thanks. Okay. So, Ms. Huff, this is X. You guys remember I'm recording all this right now? Shh. No. Okay. So this is my X's, this is my Y's. My slope is going up by 2 each time. Let's think about sunflowers. When I plant a sunflower seed, you guys don't have this paper in front of you, do you? No. I totally forgot to give it to you, didn't I? You're like, what is she writing down? Dude, it's Friday night.
It's Friday.
I'm like, why is no one writing?
I was like, you supposed to, I thought she wanted us to remember
Nobody
this.
says anything, they're just they're like,
I was like, well, that's just
Bro, I have to show you.
I come here to work now.
Girl, guys, you guys are the best 2 classes I ever in my life.
Okay. All right. Now that everybody has a paper in front of them,
Yes.
I'm gonna put this back down so you guys can read it.
Everyone in here failed algebra already.
Okay. So remember, if they are parallel, write this down. If they are parallel, they have the same slope. If they're perpendicular, they have opposite reciprocals. If they're perpendicular, they have opposite reciprocals. And then I gave some examples. These are all opposite reciprocals. 1/4 perpendicular is -4/1. -2 perpendicular would be 1/2.
All right.
Okay? We talked about parallel is the same. So I see some people think it's right. Turn your phones over before I come around and I hold them in my pocket for the rest of the hour.
Dab you in the face.
Okay. Remember, we've got slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. M's the slope. B is the y-intercept. Everything that's on this board you need to write down. Yep. Point slope form is right here. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. This is the this says paint, but it should say point. This is the point, x1, y1. M is your slope. Okay. While you're writing, I want you guys to think about this. I'm planting a sunflower seed in the dirt. How many centimeters does it come off the ground? When you plant a seed in the dirt, how many centimeters is it above the ground? 0. Thank you. No, do not. Yes, that's what I was going for. So, if I'm measuring, if the height, listen, if the height of the sunflower is the y value, what's the y-intercept? What does it start at? What did you just tell me? It's not above the ground, should start at 0. Okay. So, we know the slope is 2. It's going up by 2 each time. Okay? So, if we were going to write an equation, we would write y, the number of centimeters, equals 2 times the number of days. 2 times 60 is 210. Right? Let's look. Because maybe we didn't do that right. 2 times 60 is what? 120. So apparently we didn't plant a seed, right? We must have planted a already partially grown plant. So what did that partially grown plant, what height did it have at 0? Okay, let's go back. If at 60, we're at 210, and I know 2 times 60 is 120, right? 2 times 60 is 100, shh, gentlemen. 2 times 60 is 120. What's 210 minus 120? 90. So we must add 90. So we must have started with a sunflower that was 90 centimeters tall. Okay, we bought it from a store, right? Okay. How am I going to figure out how many centimeters this sunflower is going to be at 68 days? Where do I plug the 68 days? 68 is the what value? Days are, what does this say right here at the top? X. So I'm going to plug 68 in for, there we go. So y equals 2 times 68 plus 90. So 2 times 68 is 136 plus 90 equals 226. Okay, and if at 65 is 220, 226 makes sense, right? For 3 days later. What's another way I could do it instead of that? This is 65. I could have gone 66, 67, 68. And I could have gone 222, 224, 226, right? To figure it out. Either way is fine. Okay. Now you guys are going to do it. I did one. Now you guys take a minute. How much does the sunflower grow each day? Remember how we found that out? Write an equation to predict the future growth. Okay, so I want you guys to try this one right now while I walk around to help. Picture that last problem. So figure out the slope. How would you figure out that y-intercepts? Oh, that's interesting. So my slope must be different because it's in the bottom right now. So I plugged it in. I said, okay, y equals 2x. But 2 times 16 is 120. So then I took that answer and subtracted it from 210. Deciding that it would start at 9. So I plugged in 60. So I said, okay, my first thought was it was 2x, right? So then I went minus 20,000. I got 9, so I got y equals 2 plus 9. That makes sense?
So you just, instead of 90, you just put the okay. Yeah. You want to see how well, she said she, and she needed y equals 2x. And she wanted to get 100, or she wanted to get 120. Well, yeah, she got 120, so she needed 210 minus 120.
Okay, guys, you ready?
2 times 6.
He added one more server.
Would it be, how would because I got 92 for that, 300 minus 208.
This should be 90 right here.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, so we're
that's
going to go over
correct?
it because there's a mistake. Hold on. All right, guys, so I gave you a tricky one for your next one. So let's talk about why this is. Each of this side goes up by 5, right? But this side goes up by 2. Oh. So how am I going to change that into a slope? Remember, this is x, this is y, so it's rise over run. So my rise is y, so I'm going to say my slope is m. The answer is 5 centimeters per day. But my slope is going to be 5 over 2. So it's not 5 centimeters today, it's 2.5 centimeters a day. Okay? So now I've got y equals 5 halves x plus, I don't know what b is. So I am just going to take the first x and y and plug it in. 208 equals 5 halves, or 2.5. You guys like decimals better than fractions? 2.5 times 60 plus b. So I'm going to do 2.5 times 60. And I get 105. 150, excuse me. So 208 minus 150 gives us 58. So my equation is y equals 2.5x plus 58. So I plugged it in, which was a little bit different from what I did earlier. If I said it was 0, I could have done this all out and figured out that 2.5 times 60 is 150, and I want it to be 208, so then I just subtract. 208 minus 150 gives me 58. Okay, that's the other way if you didn't want to plug it in like this. Okay, let's turn this over. Okay, a lot of these we've done before, so I'm just going to do one of each, and then we're going to move on. Okay, first plot the 2 points, then determine the slope. So I'm going to plot 2. I go 2 to the right, up 2. Then I'm going to go 6 to the right, up 5. Okay? And then right here, this is how I determine my slope. Rise over run, right? I'm going up 1, 2, 3. I'm going over 1, 2, 3, 4. So my slope is 3 over 4. Okay? Right. A, this is just what we did. We did this on our warm-up. We did this for homework last night. This is x1, y1, x2, y2. Remember, it's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So far, so good?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to go 8 minus 1 over 6 minus 3. 8 minus 1 is 7. 6 minus 3 is done. Okay? All right. We are going to work on our definition sort stuff here. So have one person from each table come up and grab some glue sticks and your paper. Nope, I'm going to pass it out to you in a minute.